Hey you guys, my name is Carrie. My channel is called Carrie T Says, and today is going to be a little bit of a personal video. I was debating back and forth if I should do this or not, because obviously it's my personal story being out there, put on the internet permanently that everybody can hear and see. So I debated back and forth, but I talk about it a lot in my videos that I don't always feel good. Some days I might have makeup, some days I don't look good, some days I might miss here and there, and everybody was wondering. So I wish I had this information back when I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. So I have an autoimmune disease called Ankylosing Spondylitis, and really what it is it's a arthritis of your spine. There's different forms of it. I had symptoms as far back as I can remember being in junior high school. I had back pain and I was put on medication, but I was a gymnast and a dancer, so I thought it was from that. And then in college, my left shoulder hurt all the time, really badly, but I assumed it was from the heavy weight of my bag with my books in it for college. Fast forward, I got married and I got pregnant a year later, and around 6 months into my pregnancy, I sneezed and I felt a pop. And my tailbone was in such pain that, you guys, I could not even sit on it. I was in tears. So I went to the doctor and they're like, oh, you have a cyst on your tailbone. I'm like, but I don't have a cyst on my tailbone. I literally thought I broke my tailbone. And legit, ever since then, I can't sit directly on my tailbone. It hurts like crazy. So I had my first child. I was terrified of delivering her because of that, but it was fine. Second child, third child, and as each went on, just didn't feel great. I didn't feel great at all. And when they were young, maybe between 3 and 6, they're like 36 months apart. So 3 and 6, 3 and 7, I felt so bad that I literally, you guys, I did not get out of bed for a year straight almost. Obviously, to go to the bathroom and things like that. I was really bad. I was so exhausted. That was like a big thing. I was so exhausted. I could not function. Thank God the kids were a little old enough to take care of each other and keep busy. I did my best, and it was rough. I had a lot of pain in my lower back and my hips hurt. So I would try and stretch it out. I would try and do things, but I was miserable, you guys. I was so miserable and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So let me just break it down. It took me around 7 years to get a diagnosis. And they thought it before, but it was never diagnosed. I went to every doctor under the sun, orthopedist, my regular family physician, rheumatologists, surgeons, everything, blood disorder doctors, every kind of doctor you can imagine. I also have a lot of lung issues and breathing issues and some other things, and come to find out later on, a lot of them might be related to the ankylosing spondylitis, or AS as people call it. So I'll tell you right now all my symptoms, but before I do, I want you to know that sometimes when you have one autoimmune disease, you can usually have more than one, 2, 3, or 4. It's not uncommon. I'll tell you my symptoms and I'll tell you how I was finally diagnosed. I'll go from like head to toe, so let me think about it. I have psoriasis in my scalp, so I have another autoimmune disease is psoriatic arthritis, okay? That's number 2. Ankylosing spondylitis affects a lot of people's eyes. I don't usually have trouble with my eyes, but it's a big symptom when people get iritis in their eyes. Their eyes get swollen and pink and very painful, and it's extremely dangerous not to get it treated right away with steroid drops, because you can go blind. Not trying to scare anyone, but that's the deal. I have a big issue with my jaw. So my first time biting down in the day, I'll see stars and it hurts, and you'll just see me clench up. But like, I guess in any exercise, once you start using it, it doesn't bother me as much. A lot of people get like teeth issues, their gum issues from the chronic inflammation that ankylosing spondylitis causes. It causes a lot of these problems. I don't have that, but I get sores in my mouth and I can literally feel them pop up. It's the most bizarre thing. It doesn't hurt. It's just extremely, extremely annoying. A lot of people itch a lot, like just weird things. So, okay, next down, my neck. I don't know if you could see my scar. My scar. I had a fusion of, I had 3 joints in my neck affected from ankylosing spondylitis. So I had 2 out of the 3 fused in my neck. I had severe neck pain. So that was that surgery, and I might have to get it fixed, the 3rd one, because I've been having trouble. My neck hurts to hold it up. Okay, so going down a little further, shoulders. My left shoulder is something that bothered me really early on, and I wound up having tears in both shoulders. Both shoulders, I've had surgery. The left one is bothering me again, and the right one hurts sometimes. Had surgery on both of those. Going out from there would be breathing and chest. I have lung issues. I have asthma. I have COPD. I am not a smoker, but at all times, you probably hear me in my videos wheezing a little bit, or maybe I just opened up a can of worms so you can hear it now. So I have issues breathing almost every day. So I take a lot of steroids. You guys, I gained 47 pounds in 3 years. So this is chubby Carrie. It took me a long time to get over it. I'd rather be alive. Chubby Carrie it is. Crazy Carrie on steroids, which are so unhealthy to take all the time. I take them. It's pretty much almost life or death for me. So I take steroids almost regularly. So I have lung issues, which can be related to ankylosing spondylitis, as well as your heart. I do have a little something with my heart. I'm not sure if it's related yet. I just get it checked out all the time, but so far I am fine. Okay, from there, a lot of people have rib issues. Their ribs hurt, so like the muscles and the tendons and stuff in your ribs cage hurts. I get that occasionally, but for some people it's so debilitating. Thank God, if I lay on my left side, I could feel it and I can't breathe. So I just try not to lay on my left side. A lot of these things are just more annoyances to me. Now, this is a big one for me, is my lower back, my sacrum area, which is where, like, if you join your hips, like by your tailbone, that's a lot of times, that's where people have the start, or they realize they have ankylosing spondylitis, is that area gets inflamed and it's so painful. And as ankylosing spondylitis moves along, ankylosing means like your bones fuse together. So, okay. So my tailbone area, I've had surgery on my lower back, and it was the worst surgery I ever have. I will never do it again unless they give me high pain drugs. I was literally screaming for my life for 24 hours straight, and they wouldn't help me. It was like the worst thing. My poor hospital roommate was like devastated when I finally got comforted the next day with some muscle relaxers and some other things they gave me. She was like, I didn't know what to do. I felt so bad for you. I'm so sorry. But worse than giving birth, it's literally ankylosing spondylitis on the pain chart is like one of the top two or three most painful things that you can endure, high above giving birth. So yeah, sucks, right? I try and keep a smile. Some days are rough, but I have, both my hips are really bad. I've had surgery in both my hips. My right hip is so bad. I know I'm gonna have to have surgery again. It's hard to sleep, it's hard to walk. So between my back and my hips, that causes me the worst pain out of everything, that and the exhaustion, the worst pain out of everything. Going down from there, people even have like bladder issues, which I have bladder issues too. I don't know if it's related or not. My doctor said it could be because I have chronic inflammation, which is part of the disease, and it's caused a lot of issues for me. Some people have issues with their knees. I haven't yet, or I don't have issues with my knees. and then heels in their feet. So I have terrible issues with the back of my heels and the bottom of my feet. It's called like Achilles tendonitis. And I wear these special flip-flops that you can get for Achilles tendonitis. They really work. They're really expensive, but they work. And sometimes I wear a little bit of a wedge heel to help with my back and my heels. And then I have some like arthritis in a few of my toes. It's so random, you guys, but it's so painful. And like even like I'm getting it now with my finger. Let me just look at that. It's like bone growth in my finger. Now, interestingly enough, this inflammation has caused a lot of cysts or granulomas, they're called, all over my body. I have them in almost every organ. I have it inside my eye, in almost in every joint in my body and every organ in my body. My kidneys, my liver, my spleen. I had my gallbladder out. I have granulomas that they have to check all the time to make sure they don't turn cancerous. We think the uncontrolled inflammation is what causes it. So in ankylosing spondylitis, there's all sorts of different medications that you can take in different levels of medication, which I'm going to get into in another video. TNF blockers, shots, and some of them hurt like an MF. I'm not going to kid you not. Some aren't bad, some are. But you can take like Cosentyx, I think it's a pill. Sadly for me, my disease is not under control, and we've tried many, many medications for many years, and I've had no relief. And certain presentations, like in women who present with like their shoulders first, it seems to be that a lot of times the medications don't work. So I am almost in a constant flare in my life, and sometimes it gets worse than others. Some people who have ankylosing spondylitis have moments where they're totally fine, and then they go into a flare where everything might hurt or something might hurt or bother them. I don't get that privilege. It's a privilege to me to feel good. It took me many years, you guys, to feel okay about this. Many. I do go through like 2 or 3 times a year where I kind of feel sorry for myself. I never say why me, but I feel sorry for myself, and I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard every day to live with pain. I have pain 24/7. I take pain medication. It helps a little. Without it, I don't think I would be here because the pain would be too great. But there's a bright side to all this, believe it or not. It has shown me the little things in life matter so much, like my family and, I don't know, the sun and the flowers and the animals and relationships. I've lost a lot of relationships because people don't want to deal with someone who's sick or who doesn't feel well. And I don't really say anything except for I might cancel. I cancel a lot. Because in my mind, it all sounds great. But by the time I go out, I don't feel good at all. So, me and my dogs. I am blessed, though, to have a lot of great people in my life and friends from throughout my life, though, that have stuck by me and check in on me and want to learn what this is. And that's my big thing about telling this story, is to help others who have an autoimmune disease or, you know, a silent illness, that it's okay. I hear you. It's okay to be you. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to tell someone you have a bad day. And it's great. There's communities out there for us all to talk with one another about it. And it's really helpful. And the biggest one for me is the Spondylitis Association of America. It's one of the best websites for learning about ankylosing spondylitis. And if you think you have it, you can go on there and check your symptoms and see what other people say, because this is my big thing. A lot of doctors don't really realize or understand or want to learn, or they don't understand what it is. Not everyone might have the back pain. Everyone might not have a shoulder pain. You know, and up until recently, they said that ankylosing spondylitis, or AS, is a man's disease, and they didn't believe women have it. I have to tell you that my daughters have a gene. It's called HLA-B27, and that's how I was finally diagnosed. I'll get into that in a second. But they have the gene, my son doesn't. I think I'm adopted, but more women that I know in my family have this kind of thing than men. So it took me a really, really, really long time to get a diagnosis, because 9 out of 10 doctors don't get it. They don't want to get it. They're like, oh, you have arthritis, or you have fibromyalgia, or you're depressed. You know, like the blanket terms for all this. And it was so hard. It took me over 7 years to get a diagnosis, and many doctors, many different rheumatologists, they have all tried the same medications which would help it, but sadly for me, it didn't work. Now, after around 11 years, people, it finally started showing up on my films, X-ray and MRI. It did not show up at all until then, so they kind of think like you're lying or something. And believe it or not, the way I finally got some kind of a diagnosis is through my regular physician. I went in there like numerous times crying, and he'd help me with antidepressant medication, but I'm like, I'm not depressed, but he helped. Like, he would listen. He's one of the few doctors that would listen. And he gave me, blood tests for everything. And a lot of times they don't do that because there's some tests that are extremely expensive to run, so they won't run these panel tests. And one of them is for a gene called HLA-B27. And I tested positive for it. And he's like, I think we figured it out. Now go see this specialized rheumatologist in Manhattan and see what they can do for you. And so he set up an appointment. It was like months later. And it turned out there's no like a concrete, yes, you have it, no, you don't. But between all my symptoms, and at the time, it didn't show up radiologically, it led, except for like my shoulders and hips, like they saw like things wrong with it. I needed surgeries and stuff for them, but not the ankylosing, like not where bones were growing together yet. But because the bones were starting to grow together, it tore tendons and things like that, and I needed the surgeries for that, but the doctors didn't put it together. That's how unspoken this whole thing is, and people don't realize what's involved, and it's frustrating because if you, the patient, don't get it, or the doctor doesn't get it, how are you, the patient, supposed to put it together, right? All these doctors later, and doctors would say, oh, it's a man's disease, or oh, you're too young, you're too old. Usually your first symptoms are when you're younger, but they don't really come into play until like, I think you're like in your 40s, they say, but you can get it in your 20s. I had it as a teenager. So it's a really, really long and difficult road. And if I can help anybody out there figure out what they have, or discuss like maybe you have something else that's like a silent autoimmune disease, like people, like you see me like this, dressed nice, maybe with makeup some days, maybe not, and happy on a video. But I could tell you maybe like half the day I'm like lying on the couch or in bed. Like my kids will take pictures for me, and I might put them up when I'm like awake. That's why I don't like keep up with listing as much as other people do. When you see a video, I might not have it listed, and I'll say contact me if you want it, because I can't get to it. I used to beat myself up over these things in life. I don't anymore, and I'm not going to apologize for it anymore. I'm just not. And I don't mean to come across as snotty or crass or any of the above, but this is me. When I say be you, this is what I'm talking about. Be your authentic self. Tell your story. Ask for help if you need help. I know it's not as easy for some people as others, and I understand it, but let's all stick together, you guys. Let's stick together. I have a list of questions I had asked on forums for ankylosing spondylitis. I said, if I did video, what would you want to know? So I actually have a list of questions from people, and I'm going to make that a part 2. So this video, I just wanted to acknowledge people who have silent autoimmune diseases. I wanted to explain to you what I have. I wanted to explain to you my symptoms, and I wanted to explain to you why I say be you all the time, you know, because it's not easy. And like I always said, I started my YouTube channel because I wanted to be a part of the world. You guys, I used to work in the music industry. Then when I had my kids when they were younger, I got my real estate license. I did that for many years. I became the #2 agent. I know, not the #1 in my area. I work really hard, and I love being around people. I love people. I love watching people. I like people from all walks of life. I have friends from all different parts of my life. I have also lost friends throughout my life because of this. And I actually had to go on disability. that was like the hardest time. The first time I did it myself and I was denied, and I'm like, okay, great. I'm gonna go back to selling real estate. And I had my husband help me put the signs out. My kids helped me set up. And I couldn't do it because sometimes I just didn't feel good. And it wouldn't be fair to, someone selling their house. Like I can miss out on somebody who wants to buy their house. And that's one of the biggest purchases or sales they're gonna do in their life. That's not fair. So I went back and I got a lawyer, and I was approved on disability right away. And I have to tell you, it was the hardest day of my life, and I'd rather work. So I took off for a long time and tried to do little things here or there. And that's why I started my YouTube channel. I missed being a part of the world. I missed being around people and, the socializing and feeling accomplished. I'm a very driven person, and I missed all that. I missed it. And one day I hope maybe the YouTube channel will take off and I won't have to be on disability. Or, I'll make enough money in my closet, but I don't. And the problem is I'm not consistent. I might be able to do it for a few days and then I can't. And that doesn't pay the bills. So it's hard. So anyway, this is my intro about ankylosing spondylitis. I have a lot of questions and thoughts and things that people wanted me to share that I can get more in depth with this, like medication and what kind of doctors and specific things you feel and how the inflammation did what to what joint and what organ. Like I can get into all of that more. I wanted to do a basic background. Hesitant for the longest time. Please don't make me regret it. I just want to help other people because it sucks. But out of all the pain and the unknowns and people not understanding, a beautiful thing comes out of it. Real friendships, the real beauty in the world comes out. And I want to share that with you. So I hope this will help somebody, and know that you're loved and you're cared about and you're not alone. Okay? Everybody, remember to be you. And thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.